Cowboys also shot down a rumor brew that they were trading for the Steelers' Najee Harris. Will the Cowboys regret not landing a star running back?
Yes. All right. And now, if they had gotten Derrick Henry, I think it helps them tremendously because I don't think Dak is the type of quarterback where he's just going to carry the team on his back shoulders to great heights. He might carry you to 11, 12 wins, but great heights without a strong running game, I don't see it. All right. And so, yeah, I would have loved to see them have gotten Derrick Henry. But if not a star, how about just a starter? I mean, seriously, like, is Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, Zeke Elliott at this point starters? That's why the Najee Harris stuff makes sense. I'm not saying he's O.J. Simpson, but you could put him in there. I mean, okay, man.
Yeah, I got you.
Still.
Earl Campbell. Yeah, I got
But I'm just saying, like, get a good,
You don't see people say O.J. Simpson
legitimately
casually like that.
good running back.
Sure.
Tony Pollard wasn't as good last year. Still gave you 1,000 yards. Somebody of that caliber.
I guess my point is okay, so I have two thoughts here. First one is this. When Tony Pollard was at his best, he was Rico Dowdle. My point is he was a guy that nobody was thinking of, who was lightly used even in college. I remember when we went back and did it. And he was a kind of a third down back type of guy, and that's when people fell in love with him. And so I will bet there is a running back on the Cowboys who puts up equivalent numbers this year to Najee Harris. Okay. I bet that happens.
Well, Najee's going.
Okay, so listen, you don't need a star running back. I think the question is flawed. Will Dallas regret not landing a star running back? I think that's probably too strong of a word. Will they regret not landing a legitimate bona fide running back, someone that you can actually rely on, someone that you know who will get the job done? The answer is an emphatic yes. Nick Wright keeps acting like you can just get running backs anywhere. I understand to a degree that running backs have been devalued over the years, but their importance hasn't necessarily. I think there is some confusion. It's just that they realize that you maybe do not need to pay top dollar for an elite running back or draft your first overall pick to get a running back, because you can get these running backs that give you really great production later in the draft, or you don't have to pay them $30 million a year, things of that nature. But it doesn't mean that it's easy to find these running backs, that it just means anyone can do it. I think that's where the confusion lies. There's this sense of, well, we don't have to pay a running back because we could just get anyone, because there's just so many of them. And you know what? The way how the game is played right now, anyone can just run, so we can just pick up anyone. That's not what it is. It's just that, one, you don't have to burn a pick, in the first overall pick, and you don't have to pay them, $15, $20 million a year, because you can get a running back that maybe is not as good as, say, an Ezekiel Elliott in his prime or Saquon Barkley, and that next notch down still is pretty darn good and still gets you a lot of the production. Maybe not as flashy of the plays, but can still be a workhorse. But it doesn't mean that next tier down that there's just hundreds of those running backs. You can just get them. There's just like a big bucket of them and you can just grab them. That's not the way it is. If that's the way it is, then everybody would just have a great run game. And that's not the case. And then you wouldn't have to draft a running back at all, really. You wouldn't waste any picks on them, because there's just plenty of them to go around. You would just be able to grab them. You would just be able to sign them. There'd just be enough of them to go around. And that's not the way it works. You see, there's a big reason why you have, a starting running back first string, and then you have the guy, the second or third options, that there's usually a pretty big drop off in that production. And so what Nick is saying about, Tony versus Zeke, I get what he's saying, but he's just acting like that's just always going to be the thing. That, you always just have this other running back that's just ready to step up and tear it up. And I just don't believe that to be true. There's a reason why you have a lot of these running backs when a team is really when the team is really built around a running back, whether it be a Saquon Barkley, whether it be a Derrick Henry, when those running backs go down or injured or whatever, or you see the drop off of the team, you can't just get another running back to fill in those shoes. It matters significantly. So that's the thing. And people also forget to recognize that establishing the run game, maybe a run game isn't as important in week 5, week 10, week 12. But you know when it's really important? When it's 30 below zero and it's, a night game and it's windy and snowy and your wide receiver's hands are frozen rock solid and you're playing in front of just a crowd that is going berserk. That's when it matters, aka the playoffs. When you're playing these rougher conditions, even if it's not as crazy as, say, the Miami versus the Chiefs game, it still is harsh. It's still hard. You need a run game. That's when it becomes most important. And you need a running back that can handle that moment, can handle the load, can handle it. That's when it matters most. Now, I know the Dallas Cowboys don't realize this because they haven't gotten far enough in the playoffs to ever really understand this. So I understand. But my God, how important do you think? Let's say you don't get home field advantage and you got to now go play Green Bay on the road. You need a running back. You need a really great running back because Dak's not going to put you on his shoulders and lead you to victory. He can't even do that when it's in his, in Dallas, in his own home crowd when the weather is perfect. So I just think that that's where people are losing sight of how important a run game is. Ask Patrick Mahomes how important Pacheco was. Ask Nick Wright how important Pacheco was to him. It matters. It really, really does. You need to have an established run game. It's not to say that running backs don't matter or that you don't need them or that you can just get them from anywhere. It's just the big thing is they're realizing, well, you know what? We want to kind of put some of our money in some of these other places. We want to pay a wide receiver a little bit more money. We want to pay, a pass rusher a little bit more money or a quarterback a little bit more money. And we are more willing to get, say, I'm making up numbers here, a $10 million running back instead of a $15 million running back, because that $10 million running back will give us about 90% of what that $15 million running back can get. But it doesn't mean that you have endless supply of these $10 million running backs. And that also shouldn't be taken away that when you do get one of these more elite transcendent running backs, like a Saquon, like an Ezekiel Elliott in his prime, it is a game changer. When you can afford that running back, it makes everything easier. It makes everything easier. It makes the job easier for the defense. It makes the job easier for the wide receivers, for the quarterback, for everyone. So when you are a team like the Dallas Cowboys that keeps struggling in moments when it matters most, when the pressure is the highest and you need to win, you're playing the best teams, that is arguably the most important time it is to have a bona fide, established, elite running back. Because that is something that you can rely on when things are starting to get out of control, when the defense is gassed and you can't push the ball down the field. You can hand it off to a Saquon. You can hand it off to Ezekiel Elliott. You can do those things to be like, I need this first down. We just need to be able to hand the ball off to you, and I need you to get us 4 yards. Things are getting a little out of control. We just need like a second and third, a second and fourth. We can't keep getting a first and a 12 or, second and 12, an incompletion on our first down, whatever it is. Like that is when having a calm, cool, collected, composed running back who can get you those yards like a Derrick Henry is when it's so important. And I think that's becoming undervalued and overlooked, quite honestly, because it really matters. You don't think the 49ers are better with Christian McCaffrey? I mean, come on. I know Christian McCaffrey does a little bit of everything, but the dude's a workhorse. You think you could just replace him with any old running back, whoever the heck Nick Wright just named? I don't remember his names because honestly, I don't know who the other running backs are for Dallas at this point or who they're going to be sticking with. You really think the 49ers would be just okay? Because the answer is no, they would not be. So those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Do you think Dallas will regret will regret not landing a star running back or just a legit great running back, right? It doesn't have to be a star like a Derrick Henry or a Saquon. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.